All right, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. I am Jeff Goodman, joined here by Sean and Archie Miller, and we are presented by Bet Rivers. You can find us on channel 84 on Sirius XM, ESPNU Radio. You can also find us on YouTube, the After Dark channel, and on Twitter live every single night, 11 o'clock Eastern. The Memphis Tigers are rolling. They are rolling in Beale Street. They got Ja Morant going. Now they got Penny going. And, you know, he's pumping his chest out now saying, like, you idiots, you challenged me and look at what happened. We are now absolutely rolling. They didn't win the AAC, but they swept Houston today. Huge. And they put themselves now.
They're the best team in that league right now.
Well, they swept Houston. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. They did. Now, being the best team in that league, I feel like that is a mid-major league, especially Houston. They beat Houston twice without being whole, right? They lost Sasser and Mark, their two best offensive players, about 10 games into the season. That's hard. Kelvin's done one hell of a job with that team, but have either of you ever dealt with anything to that extent in your careers? And how do you reconfigure at that point?
Well, it's so hard because it happened so early as well. You know, I mean, you forget in some ways you learn to play and grow without them being there. But I mean, when we saw Houston in Maui, which was played this year in Las Vegas, they looked eerily similar to the team that they had a year ago. And I think that, I don't know if anybody would have disagreed. You just kind of predicting them out. You saw them as a high seed in this year's tournament, and what they've had to overcome and put back together, they have done a great job. But I tell you what, Memphis, a lot of people were doubting them, especially at that one juncture, and you didn't know how it was going to go. It was almost like a Y in the road. And almost from that moment forward, they had a couple really close games that they won. They've never looked back.
The best medicine, Arch, the best medicine is the AAC.
The best medicine's the AAC. I'll give you that. There's winnable games for those teams, and Memphis's talent level is significantly higher than anybody else in the league. They also have the best home court. If you saw that home court today, Memphis is rocking in there. But I don't think Houston's been dominated regardless of who's on their team like they were today. I mean, they got completely dominated. They were out rebounded by 7. They turned the ball over 20 times, and Memphis shot 46% from 3, 48 from the floor. I mean, that's total domination against the Houston team that defends. But I will say this, Memphis's key turning point to the season, it's no secret, it's addition by subtraction. And whether it's an injury or whether it was just at the end of the day, chemistry, whatever it may have been, by Amoni Bates taking a step back, allowed the team to take all of the nonsense that was going on in and around every other week, it seemed like, away from them. And they started to play their best basketball. And sometimes it takes an injury for guys to get growth. Sometimes you got to rally. In this case, is addition by subtraction. Memphis' success is no secret to why they're playing well. They have good chemistry right now. They look really good on both ends of the floor. They're super talented. I wouldn't want to see them as a low seed if I was a real high seed, because you're going to, when you go to the jump ball as a head coach and you have 10 guys standing out there, you look at your guy and you match him up against the opposing guy and you say, did we win this battle? All right, let's go to the next guy. Do we win this battle? And you say, how many of the battles can we win? 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5? I'm not sure there's very many teams that when you lace up against Memphis, you say, maybe. No, they may have us on this one. I mean, Memphis can line up with the best of them and win a lot of head-up battles.
Sean, I got the matchup for you. The Memphis first-round matchup. Who wins this one? St. Mary's, who I know you like and you've seen, Memphis, because that is the contrast of all contrasts.
St. Mary's. But Jeff, what I find mind-boggling, and look, why does Memphis win? Their defense is top 30 in the country. They block shots, right? Top 5 in America in blocking shots. And they're a team that plays with energy and effort on defense. And with that talent, that right there is going to get them over the hump in a lot of nights. But I remember you guys corrected me because I said something like 370 or something like that in November. And you said there's 358 teams. That's impossible. So here's the deal. Tonight, it's over. The regular season is over. Teams steal the ball the most against Memphis, meaning they check in after every game's played at 358 in terms of taking care of the ball, not getting it stolen. And what I find hard to believe is you ever want to question their talent? That's all you need to know. The fact that they're having as much success as they are to be bad in such a critical and crucial area. And you know what? Sometimes in the NCAA tournament, you're right, Arch, shot blocking talent on a given night, they can beat you. But I remember Robbie Hummel said it to me in November. I was talking about, I can't believe how they're turning the ball over. And he said, well, last year they turned the ball over. And it's just like, to turn the ball over at that rate, it's almost impossible to win. And yet they are. And I think
though, at the end of the day, they're so much more talented than the American Conference.
That's right. That's the key. I mean, listen, Wichita State is down. Cincinnati is down. Tulsa is down. You beat those. You beat East Carolina. You beat UCF. They're just average. Tulane, Temple's down. USF stinks. Like, this league is a mid-major league. So everybody is jumping on the bandwagon now because they have won 10 of their last 11. And all I'm saying is, you know what? Slow the brakes a little bit here. That's all I'm saying. Like, I want to see more. And I don't know if we're going to see more until they get to the NCAA tournament. And then ultimately it's going to be a matchup.
You feel Memphis is a lock over SMU? SMU swept them.
Yeah, but you know what? Memphis swept Houston. So I think that makes them a lock. I do. I just don't think. Here's the hard part.
Here's their non-conference, Jeff. Their non-conference is pretty good. It's 41. They've beaten St. Louis, who's a quad solid 1 or 2 game. Western Kentucky and Virginia Tech non-conference. They lost to Iowa State. They lost to Georgia. They lost at Ole Miss. They lost at home to Murray State. They beat Alabama. And then they lost. They're in league play at that point in time.
Arch's statistical ability, Jeff, you just got to be careful making a blanket statement because, I mean, his talent in that area is second to none.
But my point is everybody just throws it up on the wall. If you look at Memphis and you break them down,
you're right.
Their only success really
Alabama.
is the conference play with a win against Alabama. And at home, and maybe Virginia Tech's going to count for them. St. Louis is going to count, but they lost to Iowa State, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Murray State. Yeah. I don't know if their resume is as strong. We don't know how they're evaluating the American in that league. And maybe the 2 Houston games do it. But I will say this, they have to be the favorite heading into the American Conference tournament.
Yeah, Jeff, I would say, I mean, that's what drives, I think, college basketball crazy, coaches too included, is, you know, you think about Ole Miss and Georgia in the SEC. In particular, Georgia's struggled, but Ole Miss has as well. Both of those teams beat Memphis. So then you say, well, what happens if Memphis played in the SEC? I know they beat Alabama at home, but what would their record be when you play 18 conference games in the SEC after they played the non-conference schedule that Arch read off? Like,
I'm in agreement with you.
When you're in that conference, your bread is buttered in November and December. You want to bring as many high quality games and wins to the table. And then you get in the conference play and you already know you'll never be able to get that respect in the quad 1 games that these other conferences get. But you did your work early, like Gonzaga. Gonzaga, by the time it's Christmas, Mark Few, you know, he gets his eggnog, he's in, and he has a high seed. It doesn't matter because he has played so many quad 1 games and he's had so much success that it's a wrap. Memphis has to do the exact same thing as Gonzaga. When they don't do that, I don't know if you can give them the credit right now until they get through their conference tournament. I would agree with you.
Like, Jeff, if we lined up VCU, Dayton, St. Louis, and Memphis and took the names off the top of the sheet, you think Memphis's resume is better than those 3 programs from the Atlantic 10?
No,
probably not. Probably not. but they beat Houston twice, and people, the analytics love Houston. I don't. The analytics love Houston. That's why Memphis is going to get in.
Look at Dayton. Dayton took 3 quad 4 losses to start the year. They went to Florida, beat Miami, beat Kansas, and beat Belmont. They have a loss at SMU. They beat Virginia Tech, lost at Ole Miss, and then they went into conference play with a 14-4 record and just beat Davidson in the last game. They're 22-9 and 14-4. I'm not sure what the difference is in Memphis and Dayton in terms of resume. If you're counting 2 wins against Houston, I'm telling you, like a lot like Michigan, boy, I tell you what, there's not a lot to grab onto when you look at the non-conference resumes.
There's not, and the committee has not generally over the last few years given the benefit of the doubt to a team that hasn't scheduled difficult in the non-conference.
That's a very important point. We talked about the ACC in Wake Forest, and Steve Forbes, I don't know if he was named the ACC Coach of the Year, should be.
They haven't come out with it yet.
What a great job the guy's done. I mean, but I'm telling you, reading his non-conference schedule and just being him, he was building his program. He was trying to establish confidence and success in wins. He wasn't worried about his resume. And then guess what? His team got better. And at the end of the day, his team was probably better than he even anticipated, but they're going to punish him in Wake Forest for that non-conference schedule. They did not challenge themselves, and whatever ends up happening, his non-conference, that's why November and December, we talked about it to nauseam on this show. It is so important that both you and the league you play in plays the right schedule and wins. And when you don't, guess when you start looking back on it right now in March, and you say, God, if we would have just scheduled a little differently or won that one game, or if this other team in our league, was a little bit more successful before we played them, guess what? We might have another team in the NCAA tournament. And, that's the Pac-12 as well. There's those 3 teams at the top, Arizona, right? UCLA and USC. The 4th team, you can make a hard argument. Hey, no one's really emerged or deserved.
That's the problem. Oregon's
no 4th team.
That's the problem for the Pac-12 is Oregon's been not Oregon.
Right. But Colorado and Oregon and like Washington State and some of the teams, it's just the bottom and the middle were not good. And it hurts your ability to get that extra team in the tournament.
Yep. All right. There is a rising star in the coaching ranks in just his first season. I'm going to tell you about the youngest coach in the country and why his current school may want to start to put together a list of potential replacements when we come back.
You're already
clear 90.
You're already moving him on. He hasn't even played a tournament game yet.
That's right. I'm already moving Drew Valentine on. I'm already giving him another job. How about that? I'm just saying he's going to get one.
Maybe I can get the Longwood job.
He's going to get one. You watch. Doesn't take much these days.
We need some dominoes to fall, Jeff, or I'm going to be on field 8 for the next 6 years.
Hey, you're getting better and better and better. Everybody likes you.
If you could get this guy from Longwood out of there, that would really help the cause.
Archie, the listeners,
UMass. We can get you to Amherst, Massachusetts, Arch. I'll find you a house.
No, I'm good.
Right.
I'll call DK. I'll call DK. I think he still has a house there. I'll call Derek.
There you go. All right. We got any questions, Greg?
We do. I just want to quickly say that the chat does not think that would be such a bad thing for you, Arch. They really enjoy your presence on the field of 68. So just keep that.
Then we're gonna start negotiating.
A new deal?
We're gonna start negotiating a new deal, starting with an actual deal.
30.